Hello, and quick update right here. Before I continue, subscribe, like, and share. Now, let's kick off what actually is going on. So, the aftermath of the Benue killings has not subsided. Conversations are still on as to the politicking involved in the killing of several persons in Benue State, specifically with the recent attack that seemed very well coordinated and properly strategized. Well, another one happened in Plateau State. Now, an 18-seater bus conveying Kaduna residents where they were actually swept on by a mob. A couple of them were killed, a couple of them seriously injured. Now, the Kaduna State Governor, Senator Uba Sani, condemned the killing of these 12 residents of the state in a mob attack in Mangu local government area of Plateau State, calling on security agencies to swiftly apprehend and prosecute those responsible. The victims, who were part of a 31-member group from the Basawa community in Zaria, Kaduna State, were traveling in an 18-seater Ahmadu Bello University Zaria bus en route to Kwaan Pan local government area for a wedding ceremony when they lost their way and were attacked by a mob after stopping to ask for directions. So, with the recent upsurge in killing and insecurity, it's not going to be surprising when people see certain persons who look like these terrorists or bandits and apprehend them or ask and impatient to understand where they're going, and before you know, they exert whatever vengeance on them. Plateau State and Benue State, Borno State, even a couple of areas in Zamfara State have been a hotbed of insecurity. The residents in most of this community believe that the federal government or the Nigerian defense is not for them. So they're beginning to pick up to defend themselves. Most times at this particular point in time, they are no longer going to be reactive. They're being defensive. So before anything happens to them, they're protecting themselves. The fallout of this is sometimes there could be innocent persons who would be part of this fray, innocent persons who will be killed as a retaliatory form, especially for community members who have suffered under the onslaught of these individuals committing this nefarious activity across the country. Okay, but the funny thing here is the fact that Nigerians are calling out the governor, saying that, oh, because these persons are from your state, now you're calling on the state governor, Caleb Moftwang, to ensure they bring out these individuals and prosecute them. We never heard your voice with what happened in Benue State, where more than 200 persons were killed by certain elements from your region. All the social media activists and all the social media influencers from the north or the northeast or from the northern region, no one have we seen have actively come out to condemn the killings of people in certain areas that have been volatile recently. They're usually very mute, but when it has to do with them, they're very quick to react and respond. And Nigerians are calling them out on social media that what a hypocrisy, that you guys are so hypocritical that it's like you deliberately try to shield your people. Don't talk about the nefarious activities committed by persons from your region, but you're very quick when people react to protect themselves. You're quick to call out and make threats. Well, they're no longer having it with them. But the question is this: why would there be a politicization of security in Nigeria? Are you telling me that the Nigerian security armament and their form and the unit don't know who these individuals are? Benue residents say that this entire scenario is deliberate. There is a target and it's called an ethnic cleansing. They believe that there is a strategic reason why the federal government kept quiet for a while this onslaught has been targeted in certain communities in Benue State. There are also talks that most of the communities in Benue State have been renamed after Fulani persons, or they have been called or renamed into Fulani names. So sometimes it's even difficult to understand the Christian community in Benue or the Totiv, and then those who are the northerners, that is the real northern Fulfide or Fulani persons. They're also beginning to bring to mind all of the testimonies and all of the statements, especially that they could consider to be aggressive, that Nnamdi Kanu was making way back 4 or 5 years ago about the Fulanization agenda or the Islamization agenda of certain elements in a multicultural and multi-ethnic country like Nigeria. I don't know what your own information is or your summation is or conclusion is about this recent development, but they are quite worrisome. Our security agencies, beyond talk, needs to do something active, so we don't think that they're deliberately pandering to certain persons and not doing what they're supposed to do in addressing this escalating crisis. Okay. That is one scenario to consider. Now let's go into the political scene. So, the internal power dynamics within the All Progressives Congress continues to shift as party insiders are revealing growing unease over Vice President Kashim Shettima standing ahead of the 2027 general elections. So, let me bring your mind back. I don't know if you recall, I think that was sometime last week, there was a problem. The Northeastern senators, specifically the All Progressives Congress, decided to converge where there was an endorsement for the president ahead of 2027. Now, there was a particular unfolding incident that erupted into chaos when they only mentioned the president's name and did not mention Vice President Kashim Shettima's name. So, certain persons who were behind, specifically the supporters or those from the zone of the vice president, they were not happy that they only mentioned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, before that particular convergence, there were talks that there is a possibility that Vice President Kashim Shettima may be replaced ahead of 2027. The thing is, they feel that his political vibrancy is very low, and they don't think or trust the fact that he's going to deliver his base or deliver the northern axis ahead of 2027. So they're permutating towards looking for someone else from another northeastern region or another northwest or north central region that will deputize, that will run as a ticket for 2027. And so that particular uproar actually brought into context why they quickly tried to defend the vice president. So we saw how chaos erupted, how persons were throwing chairs at each other. They were all wanting to climb the stage, that even the governor representative, and that's Babagana Zulum, tried to quell the uprising or the chaos or tell them to actually comport themselves. They weren't comporting themselves despite all the talks. They never comported themselves. They continued in their rabid manner. Well, to end the whole chaos and whatever tensions that already has arisen by mentioning the president's name, everybody came out on stage to say, we endorse Tinubu for 2027 and Vice President Kashim Shettima. So here is the thing. Now, if you recall, Byron Anagar, speaking with Daily Trust, recently had to dispel some speculations about a rift between the president and the vice president. What did he say? He said normally when it comes to endorsement, you only endorse the president. You don't endorse the vice president. It is at the whim of the president to decide who he wants to run with. Well, and he also had to respond to some questions about potential campaigning of the APC ahead of 2027 when INEC has not released the official calendar. Well, in that particular instance, Byron Aniga clarified and dispelled the narrative that there is any rift between the president and his vice. He also went ahead to say that the APC is the most organized political party standing at this point in time, also reaffirming that the All Progressives Congress and the president is not afraid of any opposition or any form of coalition. To him, he thinks they're just playing child's play. And he also reaffirmed that when it comes to 2027 and the vice, all of that will come out in due course, but any rift between the president and Vice President Kashim Shettima is actually a figment of the imagination of the opposition, and so everyone should actually be calm. But with what is currently going on now, apparently there are certain persons who are vying for this vice presidential role. If you saw a video very recently where Vice President Kashim Shettima was being greeted by a couple of entourage, I saw Godswill Akpabio and a couple of other top party echelons there, he snubbed Ganduje. We were like, wow, this situation is for real, very serious. Well, he snubbed Ganduje. And if you must know, the permutation doesn't seem to be forced now. Some recent activities, body language and gesticulation is affirming this rife speculation that there is indeed something untoward. And there is a very strong potential or possibility that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may actually be considering bringing in someone else on board aside from Shettima to be his running mate for 2027. And so the fears of the supporters of Shettima may actually be valid. So, in that particular instance, a couple of persons will say, it's not our business. What is our business is that we want good leadership. In that particular regard, Peter Obi is coming out in a swift and strategic method. This time around, no holds barred. Guy is spilling, calling, criticizing, acting like a main opposition, no longer sounding scared. And the party of the day are actually doing their best. Every day or the other, their strategy of modern propaganda, whatever it is, it's a daily assignment. We're not surprised that all of these political permutations, this strategy, this back and forth is unfolding. But there is one thing that Nigerians are significantly requesting from the administration of the day. In as much as you're interested in pursuing your political career, in sustaining power, Do that, but not to the detriment of the people. Perform your oversight functions. Govern the country as best as you can. Make sure that we stop insecurity at every level so that businesses can thrive, transportation can be eased off, and the means of livelihood for Nigerians can become better. That is one thing Nigerians are asking for. They're also asking the APC to stop politicizing but understand the reality on ground, that Nigerians are really going through hell, and that they need to understand that regardless of how they feel about maintaining power, governance is not for a certain region. It encompasses all the regions in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If Nigeria needs to remain one, it is the responsibility of those that were supposedly elected to maintain the country as one. I'd like you to subscribe, like, share. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Bye for now.